Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. Today, we're going to preview Week 9 of the NFL. And, Maddie, this whole season's been gearing up to be really good, actually, because even in some bad games, there's been some really cool moments. And this, we'll get to it, but tonight we get to see if Mr. White is an anomaly or if he can play. But let's start with the game that everybody's been talking about online, and it has nothing to do with football. Packers versus Chiefs.
This should have been one of the best games of the season. This was earmarked as going to be one of the best games of the season, a must-watch fixture, and it still is a must-watch fixture. It's like top seed one of the top seeds in the NFC versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who still have Patrick Mahomes. But Aaron Rodgers, what the fuck are you doing? You've put your team in jeopardy by doing this, and I'm fully with everybody's right to do whatever they want. Get vaccinated if you want to. Don't get vaccinated if you don't want to. Whatever. But he literally is the Packers, and sometimes you've just got to think, was this a big fuck you to the Packers saying, I'm not going to get vaccinated?
Well, Mike Lombardi today said that when it comes to the Vegas line, no individual player in football moves the line more than Aaron Rodgers when it comes to gambling. I do know that people are mad at him because he chose his words very carefully, because he did do some alternative things that were to strengthen your immune system, but he did not get vaccinated and he didn't want to have the discussion. So he chose his words very carefully. I don't know if he violated any NFL protocol, because I know in outdoor stadiums, you don't have to wear a mask. There might be some questions. I'm not sure how that works with his press conferences, but if he was wearing a mask in the facilities, I wasn't in there. But I do know him being out. Okay, so him being out, this is what I'm going to tell you. I am not comparing Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers talent-wise, but this is Jordan Love's Cowboys game if he ever wants to show that he is supposed to be in the NFL. So I'm excited, not that Rodgers is out, but that I get to see if Jordan Love can play at all.
Yeah, and the Chiefs haven't been able to stop anybody. So if he can't move the ball, then he can't do it. He's not that guy. Aaron Rodgers has been proved right, and he's still probably on the way out, and the Packers are screwed. But he could move the ball. I mean, everybody's been moving the ball against the Chiefs. And I don't want to slate him too much. Is Devontae Adams playing this week? Do we know? Is he out of COVID protocol and stuff?
I believe because he only had to have the 2 cleared tests to play, he's a vaccinated player, so he should be eligible. And if the game wasn't a Thursday night game, I think he would have been able to play Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But with that said, get ready for it, guys. It's my upset pick of the week. Jordan Love and the Packers go into Kansas City and beat a very beaten down Kansas City team in a really close game. I just think that this is one of those games that maybe the Chiefs are like, oh, we don't have to play Aaron Rodgers. And then you end up getting smacked in the mouth because you're not a really good team anyway.
Yeah, I see this as more of a Patrick Mahomes renaissance game. I'm backing him. When you've got Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field, he is still a fantastic football player. The Chiefs' offense has still been functioning at a high rate. They can't be expected to score 50 points a game to dig you out. And that's the reason for all the turnovers and stuff like that. Also, they need to be a bit more patient and just be a bit play calling, and Patrick Mahomes needs to stop talking to his family for a while because they can't be doing him any good. But Patrick Mahomes is still a fantastic football player. The Chiefs are still a good enough football team, and I don't have any confidence in Jordan Love. The Chiefs are going to win this game.
All right, Maddie. Well, on to another NFC North game. The Bears at the Steelers. I think this will actually be a good game because I don't think either team's that great, and they kind of play the same style of football. So we might see AFC black and blue, NFC black and blue hit you in the mouth kind of game.
This is the opposite to what we're expecting from the Chiefs-Packers. In the Chiefs-Packers game, I'm still expecting a relatively high-scoring game on both sides of the field. And this is going to be a low-scoring game from both sides of the field because the Steelers have Big Ben who can't throw it downfield, and the Bears have Justin Fields, who we were talking about, can't throw it downfield, but for very different reasons to Big Ben. The Bears have an amazing playmaker in Justin Fields behind their offensive line, but they don't have much else. And the Steelers have an absolutely awesome defense, and the Bears have a good enough defense as well. I've got the Steelers winning this game thanks to the fact that Najee Harris is going to go for another 100-yard game.
Well, you guys, I'm just going to do it to you again. I'm picking the Bears to go into Pittsburgh and get the win on an upset on the legs of Justin Fields. And if he uses his legs and that running game gets going, he can hit those 20 yards and in passes. And I think the Bears have a better chance of winning this game on, this is going to sound weird because Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer, hands down. I think Justin Fields gives the Bears a better chance to win than Roethlisberger because, like we said, Roethlisberger can't throw down the field. Justin Fields has just got some weird things he's got to work out, but he's got the arm strength to throw down the field.
I think the Steelers would kill for the quarterbacks to be swapped over in this game.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Steelers would kill for. It comes down to, do you trust Matt Nagy to use Justin Fields in a way that Justin Fields can win the game? And
is he back to calling plays? I hear he's not going to call the plays. So if he's not calling plays, I got more faith. If Nagy's back to calling plays, Justin Fields is dead.
Yeah, Justin Fields has to just give the guy the ball. Like, just run the ball with him and play those short little nice routes and stuff. Lovely. Like, just play to his strengths. Stop trying to make him something that he's not, and they'll have a chance of winning. But I don't trust the Bears to do it. I think the Bears get in their own way, whereas the Steelers outcoach the Bears like they outcoached the Browns last week.
If I'm going to be right, this is exactly what has to happen. They need to run timing routes, and if it's not open, you need to look at Justin Fields and their receivers and go play backyard football. Just get open. Let your talent, you receivers, as soon as that play breaks down, get open. Justin Fields, get out of the pocket, make something happen. I think that's the only way you can beat the Steelers defense, because if you just keep trying to pound the ball at them, that's not going to work. So I think you're going to have to get athletic. Yeah,
either get open or block, one or the other.
Right.
Do something. Like, don't still keep running your out. Like, just do something that'll help Justin Fields out. And this is going to be a low-scoring game for me still, even with Justin Fields being exciting. And I just trust the Steelers coaching staff to get it done more than I trust the Bears coaching staff.
Well, whose coaching staff do you trust more when it comes to tonight's Thursday night game, Jets at Colts? Who do you trust more of the coaching staff? Not the team. Who do you like? If you had to pick the coaching staff, and I know I just put you on the spot.
That's an interesting question, actually, because I like both coaching staffs of this. I like them both. I'm going to have to go with the Colts as a better run organization as a whole. The organization gets out of the way of their coaching staff, whereas the Jets organization could be getting in the way of their coaching staff. If Gary V buys the New York Jets, they will be in a better way, by the way. Just putting that out there.
Gary V has been like the topic of jokes, but in a good way, with the Jets for over a year. Like, everybody just keeps, and I think he said something, and I might misquote him. I wish I didn't dream of owning the Jets.
Yeah, that is exactly the kind of shit that I would say. Find a way to get Gary V the lead shareholder spot. Find a way to make Gary V the owner of the New York Jets.
Yeah, Woody Johnson
they'll be fine. That dude will, like, Gary V will die for that franchise 100%. It's got the ownership's the only reason that I put the Colts, because Robert Saleh is a fantastic coach. He's doing a good job. He's changing the culture there. It was a bit iffy to start the season off. Like, is Robert Saleh got it? But they've got it. They are changing the culture, and it's very slowly. It's a long culture of not being successful in New York up there with the Jets as well. And but when it comes down to rosters, there's got to only be one, right, that you can really pick and say the roster is so much better, and that's the Colts. I refuse to believe that the Jets can do it two times in a row.
Okay, so Go back to Robert Saleh. I believe he's a good coach. I also believe in 99% of circumstances, you have to get a your new head coach 3 years to change that culture and get things rolling. Mm-hmm. We will get to the 1% later in this recording here. But if the Jets even have a chance, they have to keep it close. The Jets last week was the first time the Jets have scored in the first quarter this year. They have to keep it close. And White didn't throw a pass over 15 yards. It was a lot of checkdowns. I think if the Colts do what they should do and run this team through Jonathan Taylor, who is a top back in this league, and stop letting Carson Wentz do Carson Wentz stuff in the red zone, they should win this game. They should.
Don't let Carson Wentz have the ball in do or die situations. Like, Carson Wentz is incredibly talented until the stakes become ridiculously high.
If White comes out and wins this game, I know that they would never turn away from their first round pick, right? Because that's just not what you do in his first year. But you're going to hear weird rumblings because New York's a rough city.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a rough city for a guy like Zach Wilson as well, who people have started to compare to Johnny Manziel because of the way he kind of acts outside of the sport and the way he acts in the sport. I don't see that. I think Zach Wilson is a pro. Like, I think he'll be a real leader of whatever organization he ends up at. Obviously, it's probably going to be the Jets because it's very unlikely that the Colts know who Ben White is now. The Bengals didn't know who Ben White was. So now they're on alert and they're going to come out. And that after they got a big L against the Titans, they're going to come out and be really on it and serious and win this game.
Yeah, and I don't like the comparison to Johnny Manziel, like you were saying, unless you tell me that Zach Wilson is an alcoholic, like we found out about Johnny Manziel coming out of college, then I hate the comparison because Johnny Manziel will never know what his talent could do because he's self-imploded.
Yeah, and how likely is it that somebody who went to BYU, the Mormon school,
that's a good point,
is going to be an alcoholic?
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's a good point because you have to sign contracts saying you won't intake caffeine, you won't have premarital sex, which is real rough on a college kid. They asked them to do a lot of stuff college kids aren't used to not doing, drinking, partying. And so, yeah, I didn't even put the two together. But now that you say that's a good point right there.
It's a weird comparison to have somebody coming out of BYU compared to Johnny Manziel so quickly. I think it's the idea of from the small BYU moment to big New York City, and it's but they all live in New Jersey though, don't they? So it's not really.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson was the king of the hill at BYU for going on a year and a half, so he knows what it's like to have everybody around him, and he'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine when he comes back from his injury as well. Good luck to White though. I kind of want him to. I want him to win. I just don't think he will.
As long as Pittman goes off, I don't care because I'm on a losing streak in Yankee and the Brit pretty bad. And I just squeezed one out in my other league, and I got Pittman in both leagues because I had TY and he still never came back for me healthy. I need some help. So what did you think? Okay, so we're going to go on to the Falcons and the Saints, but quick before we hit that game, I heard today that Stephon Gilmore walked up to them and just said, I know it's my first game, but give me Pitts. I'm going to shut him down. And he did.
Yeah.
Impressive. That's all. I thought that was impressive because we both really think Kyle Pitts is going to be great.
Yeah, he's a top. Kyle Pitts is going to be one of the best tight ends of this decade, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I see it. But the one way to catch out a rookie and a guy like that is to put an absolute vet on him who's just going to track him the entire game. And we know Stephon Gilmore is going to be looking after himself. The dude's a consummate professional. You don't stay in New England that long without being an absolute pro. So, it doesn't surprise me that he did that, and it doesn't surprise me that he pulled it off. But in this game, Kyle Pitts could go off.
So, do you have the Falcons winning?
No.
I do.
Yeah. I have Kyle Pitts having a comeback game just because Matt Ryan's just going to throw to him throw after throw like he should do. Cordell Patterson's probably going to play well, but the Saints are in a really weird position right now where they're kind of sneaking up on being good, and they have the culture of winning. We were talking about it in the last episode where Sean Payton is just a winner down there in New Orleans, and they just find a way. They're a team that finds a way. And do we know if Taysom Hill's playing this week, or is it Trevor Siemian?
I think even if he's back, Trevor Siemian's going to start. And I think that's going to be the implosion that gives the Falcons a chance, even though they're without Calvin Ridley for who knows how long now. He's stepping away from football due to mental health issues. So I still think they have a good chance. I think their offense, normally I would pick the Saints offense, but I think with the backup quarterback situation, the Falcons are going to have a chance to spring one on a team that I think is going to fall back from last week.
Yeah, it was obviously a big champagne win for them last week. This is going to be a close game, and I'm not entirely sure which way it's going to go. I've picked the Saints due to things like coaching staff and having a better defense and just gradually being more in the know about how to get the W. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons win this game.
All right, well, on to Halloween Gate with the Denver Broncos and the Cowboys, because there's rumors that Von Miller got forced his way out in the trade because he got pissed off over his teammates not kicking in for his Halloween party. I don't know. It's weird shit. I know Ian Rappaport said that absolutely happened, but he doesn't believe it had anything to do with the trade. I think it's because they were going to let him walk. And with all of that said, the Cowboys win, and it ain't even close.
The one good thing is, so Tyron Smith is sitting out this week because they traded Von Miller. So they trade Von Miller. So Tyron Smith, there's no point of forcing an injury. Obviously, we know Tyron Smith's history of injury, so may as well just give him a break.
I almost think you guys, and you won't, from what I read, sit Dak and let Cooper Rush play a second one, because you did get the win, and even if he lost, you're still how many games up? 3 in the division.
But with the Packers situation at the minute and the Bucks losing, then it's all about the number 1 seed. Like, it's the number 1 seed.
But if Dak re-injures that calf and he's out for 5 weeks, that number 1 seed ain't happening.
Yeah, I say I would personally start Cooper Rush, but dress Dak. So if at halftime we're down, then just bring Dak out, and then hopefully we'll get it from there. Or the other way around, start Dak and then bring him off as soon as we're 14 points up or something, and let Cooper Rush run the ship from there. I don't want to write off the Broncos. I still think the Denver Broncos have a good defense without even without Von Miller, and they should have a good offense. It still surprises me how shoddy their offense is with all those weapons, and it seems like an offense that Teddy Bridgewater should kind of be able to run. But obviously, it's Drew Lock at the minute playing for the Broncos. But yeah, for me, it's a Cowboys win as well, but not as easily as you. I'd still say it's probably going to be close. But Zeke and I'm going to say Zeke and Tony Pollard, this is your game this time round. We won't throw the ball as much as we did last week.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the problems with the Broncos is that they just don't have any deep. They don't have any deep threat because their quarterbacks can't complete a deep pass. So therefore, the whole defense can just move forward and collapse everything and make it real tight. I don't think it's going to be close. I get they're your team. You probably get more nervous than me. I don't even think it's a close game, though. I do think a game that we're going to talk about that will be close will be the Patriots-Panthers, but I think the Patriots figure out a way to pull it away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I have no idea which way this one's going to go. I'm going to go for the Pats as well. Usually, I'm really on coaching staff this week. I'm not normally as on coaching staff.
Christian McCaffrey, is he back for sure? Do we know?
He can't be back for sure. There's no way that he's back.
I know that sure. I have Chupa Hubbard is a backup fantasy running back, and they only have him projected for 2 points. So it makes me feel like Christian McCaffrey is back.
Yeah, but you know how much Bill Belichick likes to tee off on these reckless quarterbacks. And as much as I love Sam Darnold and think his talent should speak for itself, in the same way that Carson Wentz's talent should speak for itself, but when it comes down to it, they're reckless, and good coaches know how to play on recklessness. And Bill Belichick, as much as I think he's an absolute fucking scumbag, but that's what makes him a good coach, you know? They'll find a way to make Sam Darnold turn the ball over, and if they're turning the ball over, then Christian McCaffrey can't have the ball anyway. So Pats win in a close one, a very close one.
Yeah, I think it's real close, and then I think they make it maybe 7-10 point game at the end of the game in dead time. But that's it. You know, you get those weird, like, okay, this has been close, and then a team goes up by 2 scores, and then it never gets close again because there's only like 4 minutes left. So on to a game that I will watch, don't even want to watch. I'm salty as fuck. The Vikings at the Ravens. And I'm just saying it because I want a top 10 pick. Ravens, landslide. Let's just end this. Just keep losing. Get me a good pick, and let's go from there.
I kind of love the idea that you're going for this this vibe, because you know how I feel about it from the way that we talk at the start of seasons, where it's just like, what's the fucking point of winning games when you could just get an incredible...
We need the best corner in the track.
Yeah,
like best corner, whoever that is. That's what we need.
Yeah, just find top 5 picks. If you have a top 5 pick, you can trade for one of the better corners in the league, a veteran corner, if there's somebody who feels like they need a QB,
or some young guy in the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would hate it if my team tanked to do it, but at the end of the season, I'd be very thankful that they did it. You don't want to be...
Right now, I'm just being a salty bitch. I won't feel this way in 2 weeks, but I am I'm not usually in my feelings a week later, and I'm still in my feelings a week later.
And you don't want to be... I think the main issue is you don't want to be a mediocre team with a mediocre draft pick set, really, do you? Like, if you're a mediocre team, it would be better to have a better draft pick so you can stop being so fucking mediocre all the time. So you may as well lose the game here and there. Even if they aren't tanking, though, you've got to admit the Ravens are probably going to come away with the W no matter what in this game.
That's what scares me, though, because like you just never know with the Ravens, right? And let them lay an egg and give me just some win that gives me a shittier draft pick and we still miss the playoffs. And like I said, I'm still in my feelings. Let the Vikings win. Hey, let the Vikings win. And then I'll be like, hey, we're in 7th spot, man. We're still making the playoffs.
I was saying this to you last week.
I'm just saying, I'm emotional right now. So this is like all emotion.
But yeah, it's not the best matchup for the Vikings with the way that their corners are, because you can't stop.
Do we have corners? I thought we just lined up 9 and called it a day. Like, here, go.
You can't stop the run with the Ravens, even with the best run defenses. And the run defense played well last week for the Vikings. But even with the best ones, you can't stop them.
Not completely, but the same thing that the Cowboys have going for them, the Vikings linebackers can move side to side. They got a lot of speed. Vigil's good, and most people don't even know about him. Everybody just knows about Barr and Kendricks. Vigil's been playing one of the best years of his career. He's not even that old. So they can move. So that helps. But like I said,
to set out to stop the run against the Ravens, you have to give up so much that if your corners can't play man-to-man, which your corners can't, then you're going to be in trouble with Lamar, because Lamar can actually throw.
But I wouldn't play man-to-man against Lamar ever. I don't care who they are. I'm playing zone, so my corners back is never to Lamar, because if Lamar gets out of there and catches the corner, that can easily be 30 to 70 yards. So I would never even let my cornerbacks turn around. I mean, I'd just be like, you're playing zone the whole game, because we don't want Lamar to catch the corner and just be gone.
Yeah, to be fair, though, in zone, the Minnesota Vikings cornerbacks usually have their back to the quarterback a lot of the time anyway, so that doesn't really help. But I know I can't tell those jokes. Only you can tell those jokes. But yeah, the Ravens come out of this one with a W. It's in Baltimore as well, which makes the Ravens a totally different animal than anywhere else. And Ravens win.
So on to a divisional game with the Browns at the Bengals after both of them kind of had a really awful week last week. OBJ is gone. I don't know what the outcome will be, but Kevin Stefanski told the team he is no longer part of the team. So they're either going to work out some settlement and cut him, or they're going to tell him like back in the day the Bucs did with Keyshawn Johnson, just go home and we'll pay you. But they're done with Odell. I think a lot had to do with his dad's video. And I think things were said behind the scenes because Odell hadn't said anything this year at all. I actually think that's a spark for the Browns. And I'm going to say that spark helps them get the win as that team rallies around Baker Mayfield, who's eaten all kinds of shit this week.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say this dysfunction in the Browns leads to what it usually leads to, which is dysfunction in the Browns.
See, this is all Odell. Odell's been a problem no matter where he went. And I think that the team's actually going to be relieved that he's gone.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's better for the Browns to get rid of him if he doesn't want to be there. But it's just, if you look at the history of the Browns, and I know this is a different Browns, Kevin Stefanski is a different coach, but the Browns are dysfunctional. They've been a dysfunctional organization. But the Cincinnati Bengals are also a dysfunctional organization, so I don't want to give them too much credit. But the Bengals got beat last week against a team that they really, really should have beat, and they were playing with their backup quarterback. And what have we been saying for the past 2 weeks? Professionals who get embarrassed are dangerous, and I can see them being dangerous against the Browns this week.
I agree with that statement most of the times, but I think the Bengals are finally coming back down to who they really are, and I think they've been playing above what they are. And that's not to say shit against Burrow or Chase. They're amazing. I just think that a lot of the players that have been playing that were average, that were playing above average, are becoming average again. And teams are getting more and more film on Joe Burrow, which always helps. But that guy's still really amazing. But I think the Browns pull this one off. But only time will tell.
I think one of the more frightening things in that, though, is Myles Garrett against that Bengals O-line, which has been fine this year, but it's been fine more surprisingly to people than it's actually any good. They still really need to sort out their offensive line.
Well, on to a game that I just feel bad for the home team, Bills versus Jags. Unless the Bills come out way too confident, they win this game going away, no problem, kind of like an ass beating they put on the Texans.
Yeah, this is the kind of the Bills' MO is, we call them flat track bullies in the UK. It's a cricket thing. But what it means is when they play teams that are really shit, they really stick it on them. Like, they don't play down to that level. They really stick it on them in a way that they couldn't do if they were playing a better team. Like, they could lose a close game, but when they're against a team that they're so much better on, they'll just put the hammer down and flat track bully them. Yeah, the Bills are going to win this game by a decent lick of points, I can see.
Yeah, I don't have a question on that. So Texans, Dolphins, both organizations are in a flux. I don't know if this hurts or helps Tua, or I don't know if this makes Tua play worse or makes him angry and makes him play better. But I have a feeling the Dolphins are just going to slide, and I oddly got the Texans getting their second win of the season.
Wow, I've gone for the Dolphins due to the pure fact that I see Tua Tagovailoa is improving as he's getting more game time this year. You've got to remember he was coming off an injury last year, and now this is his first.
He's coming off a week where he said that I don't feel like the Dolphins want me.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't trade for. They didn't trade for the.
Yeah, but you know your days are numbered at this point if you're Tua.
Yeah, 100%. But as a guy, he seems like a professional, and I think that would like kind of override it. And I think he would like to put it on the Texans, which is Watson's team as well, even though he won't be there. I think he'll kind of rise to the challenge of putting it on those Texans.
And the Dolphins are a better team. I just wonder if this just really gets into his head because he hasn't been playing lights out anyway, and he's been used to in college and high school. He's used to always being the guy, and we'll see. if it flips it around for him, great. But I think he's going to be too much in his head over this last couple weeks with the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Dolphins are so much better in every single position that they should win this game, no matter what Tua's doing, because Tua is better than Davis Mills. Like whether that's over the long term or whatever, Tua's better than Davis Mills at this current moment in time. So they're better in every single position. And as much as the Dolphins are sliding and have been very disappointing this year, I can't see them losing to the Texans.
Well, Raiders at the Giants, and I will say my heart goes out to everybody involved in the whole Henry Ruggs issue and everything that happened. But, man, does Derek Carr get more stuff laid on his shoulders as a leader of that team after the whole John Gruden thing? I mean, Derek Carr's got to be the leader to get these guys to rally around if they're going to get over and past the fact that this guy's no longer their teammate and that they all have relationships with him, no matter what anybody feels about what happened. These people have spent the last couple of years in a locker room, man. There's relationships. And with that said, I still think the Raiders win this game.
Yeah, I think the Raiders win this game as well. I think the Raiders kind of find new ways to implode and then seem to be amazing on the other side of it. It's really strange. I think this is more about the Giants the Giants aren't a fully fit team. The Giants aren't great when they are fully fit. And the NFC East, apart from the Cowboys, has been disappointing this year. It should have been so much better. And the Giants are not playing good football. And the Raiders are playing good football, even with Henry Ruggs out of the team. And they should win this game. They should still win this game, even with the Henry Ruggs thing.
I agree. And like you said, I agree with you. It says it's more about the Giants. If they were playing a powerhouse, I wouldn't feel good about that pick at all. But it's saying more about the Giants, which I think that whole locker room's imploding as we speak too. But that is what it is. So from there, we go on to the Chargers at the Eagles, with the Eagles coming off a very emotional week.
Yeah.
I just think that hurts them. I think that actually the emotion they put in last week to win that game is going to hurt them this week against the Chargers.
Yeah, definitely. I see the Chargers winning this game due to the fact that the Chargers are better than the Eagles. It's not really much to do with that. The Eagles absolutely romped last week. They played really well. That's probably some of the best football they've played in since their Super Bowl win. But the Chargers should just be better, and they're on a two-game losing streak. So I don't want to give them too much credit. I think people are starting to work out their offense a little bit, and their defense really needs to sell out to stop the run a little bit more. But they're better. Justin Herbert is still a fantastic quarterback. They're going to find a way. They're just a really young team that are still finding their way. And I think they're going to win this game. The Chargers.
I agree with everything you said. The Chargers are a young team with a young coach who are going in the right direction. The sky is the limit for them in the future. Yeah. I think they get this win. I don't think the Eagles, like I said, even if the Eagles were going to come out, they're not going to be able to come out and put up the same energy as it took to win last week. And so I would have picked the Chargers either way, but I think that energy letdown makes it even more of a guarantee that the Chargers win this game.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, so Cardinals, 49ers. This line has been weird in Vegas, moving back and forth. I don't even know how. I don't think it should even, not that the 49ers were ever really close, but it's just like the Cardinals should just go in there and walk the 49ers, especially with everything the 49ers have going on with their running backs. And sure, they just had a good game, but they're struggling in the run. They're coming in against a really good defense, and they're coming in against a really explosive offense.
Yeah, and the 49ers are a team that are living off past achievement at the minute. They're living off this idea of they've created an absolutely awesome roster. That awesome roster is never fit, and the quarterback situation isn't great. even though we were waxing lyrical about Jimmy G's throwing motion. And Jimmy G is a good quarterback. He's fine, but he's not Kyler Murray, you know? And they, yeah, it's as simple as that. And they're always injured. It's not as amazing a roster as everybody thought it was anyway, even without those injuries. Whereas the Cardinals are a really, really good football team. And the Cardinals are coming off a tough loss. And I think they'll come into this game, play some lights out football, and Kyler Murray's going to do some crazy shit.
I agree. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. And then on to our Sunday night game, which is the Titans versus the Rams, which would have probably been a better game if King Henry wasn't injured, but I still would have probably picked the Rams anyway, just because it's hard for a running team to beat a prolific offense that can put lots of points on the board unless you can keep that offense off the field with King Henry. And I don't care what anybody says, Adrian Peterson is a good signing, but he ain't the answer.
Yeah, and this is a difficult matchup for the Titans even before they lost King Henry, and now it's a really difficult matchup for them with Aaron Donald in the middle and now Von Miller coming off the edge and Jalen Ramsey locking down AJ Brown. Like they're just a bad matchup. They're really good in the places where the Titans are also really good, but they can also throw on that Titans secondary, which is a young secondary and it's going places, but isn't quite with it, yeah, it's a bad matchup for the Rams. It's a bad matchup for the Titans, sorry, and the Rams are going to come away with the W in this game in LA.
Yeah, and they'll probably figure out how to play Von Miller a few snaps, too, to just get him in the game. And that's
get some excitement out there, sell some shirts.
Yeah, so, Maddie, I have to ask you something about a team that's on a bye, okay? So, in the beginning of the year, I had a real issue with the bite the kneecaps off comment by Motor City Dan Campbell. Now reports come out that he's in the locker room blaming his team and that he's already blaming individual players and he's already losing the locker room. This is the 1% I'm talking about earlier. You give a guy 3 years. If what they're saying is true, Dan Campbell might be gone after this year.
I don't think that's fair, to be honest. I think Dan Campbell is kind of got the shitty end of the stick. He's in Detroit that have never been good. It has been individual mistakes that have cost them winning some games this year. The reason that 0-8 is Dan Campbell's fault. It is general players' fault. And if those players are fucking shit, they should be told that they're being shit. And I know you can't do that to players at the minute, but if you're going to let him build the culture, you have to bring in players that can deal with it. It depends what culture they want. Do you want this culture or not? Because if you want the culture that everybody else has got, where you can't criticize players and or they'll take over and the players are taking over the league, then fine. But if you want the Detroit, we're going to bite the kneecaps off, which has served them well. That has served them well this season. They should have got some wins.
I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can be the rah-rah guy, the bite kneecaps off guy, the big speeches, and then blame your team. I think if you want to be Bill Belichick, the asshole guy, then you can blame your team. But I don't think you can play it both ways. I'm not a fan of firing a coach after 1 year. I'm just saying with what's going on in Detroit, and if you lose that locker room in year one, I think the only thing he can do right now is they got to find a win somewhere. Winning cheers off.
I think it kind of depends on what they mean by calling out the players, because like obviously people are going to make it sound a bit more than it actually is. Some players are a bit more sensitive than other players as well to getting called out. Is he calling people out and just saying this is all your fault, you're fucking shit, or is he going, you made a shitty play and it is your fault that happened, that's not anybody else's, this is on you, rather than being like, you're absolute garbage all the time? Because if he is saying that, then cut the guy who you think is absolute garbage rather than making the rest of the team think that kind of stuff. But Dan Campbell, I think, should be given more time in Detroit. They should have won more games this year. They should have at least 2 wins this year.
I can tell you how they fixed the whole thing. Pay Kelvin Johnson his $1 million back and end the Kelvin Johnson curse. Because the Kelvin Johnson curse doesn't just affect the Lions. for some reason, the Red Wings suck balls. The Detroit Pistons can't win. Like, Detroit, just give Kelvin his $1 million back and kill the curse.
Yeah, the US government could put more money into Detroit and stuff like that, and then more people would want to be there.
That's out of the sports realm. I was just saying, they got the Kelvin Johnson curse going on, and that ain't helping.
Yeah, the Kelvin Johnson curse. So that they should pay that dude his money. He's done so much for the city, and they might want to get him back in the dressing room. To be perfectly honest, like, he might be a good guy to get in there and say, I was here the last time we were any good. Can I help at all with anything? Here's how you get the city of Detroit to love you. Here's how we get this stadium rocking again. Here's all of this kind of stuff. Maybe it might be a good voice to have. And that guy bleeds the Detroit Lions, because you don't stay at the Detroit Lions for that long unless you give a shit when you're that talented. And it would be good to get him back into the fold. Just pay the guy.
Right. Well, everybody, that's our week 9. That's our week 9 preview. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.